Welcome to All About the Experiences. Today marks my 11th episode. Each week, I am like totally inspired by my guests, their willingness to share their stories, their experiences. And look, I'm here for it. I tune in to All About the Experiences because I know I'm going to have some fabulous people on. Yeah. I want all of you to share in the excitement, and I encourage you to tune in weekly and just simply be inspired. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform by name, All About the Experiences. And also, for the latest updates on the All About the Experiences brand, go ahead and check me out at the website, allabouttheexperiences.com. I can also be reached via email at Cheryl@allabouttheexperiences. And I just appreciate all of you for your continued support. Now, I am super excited right now. You have no idea. So today's guest has quickly become one of my favorite people, and like within the first 5 minutes, you'll understand why. This conversation is like something I've been looking forward to literally all week. She is a conscious media journalist and a spiritual counselor. She's guided by her purpose. She created the conscious media platform, Lali La Luna TV, garnering over 30,000 views on YouTube. So, I'm gonna have to tap into my girlfriend here and find out, how can I up my YouTube game? That's all I'm gonna say. I need to know. I need to get my viewership up. And currently broadcasted on over 4 million households through Apple TV, Roku TV, Fire TV, and WellWorldTV. So I'm like, she's across all of them. I'm here for it. Through her conscious voice and inquisitive mind, she plans to make a tangible difference in her generation. And let me tell you, she has had a huge impact on my generation as well. I am learning so much from this beautiful young woman. And not only is she talented and beautiful, she has a degree to back all this up from Florida Atlantic University with a BA in multimedia journalism. Ooh, pretty and smart. I'm here for it all. I am pleased to welcome Ms. Jazmin Kylene to the All About the Experiences podcast. Welcome.
If I could just have your voice say that entire thing every morning, there would be nothing, there would be no insecurity. That was the sweetest intro I've ever seen. You're amazing. I'm so excited to be here. I have been looking forward to this just as much as you say you have, because I feel like every time we speak, it's soul food, honestly. I feel like you nourish me so much. And I'm just
so excited. Definitely soul food on both ends. And one of the things that I definitely want to convey in this conversation that we have today, it's just it may be distance that separates us because you're in Florida and I'm here in California, and age may separate us, but guess what? We have so much to learn and pour into each other. And I think from our initial conversation that we ever had, that was something that was just so present and so appreciated. A lot of times some of us more mature ladies feel like, we have so much to teach others, but I have to tell you, I'm tapping into you and my daughter and other young women that are around me that are giving me so much. And so I want to say, first and foremost, thank you for being here. And thank you definitely for pouring into my cup.
Oh my God. I truly couldn't be more grateful for you. I mean, I feel like every single time we speak, it's just do you understand how much I adore you? But I have just been learning about the value of women uplifting women, but above all else, it's surrounding yourself with women in so many different parts of their journeys, because we can learn so much from each other, not just, people who are ahead of their journey, but perhaps people who are in the beginning who are having different, insight. So if there's anything from just me admiring you that you've taken from me, then I'm more than happy to give it to you. But yeah, thank you. And your soul is ageless, honey. And so is your skin. So hello.
Well, Riri helped with that with a little bit of Fenty, but I'm just saying.
Queen.
I love it. Well, let's jump into it. I want to know, I'm looking at your body of work. I follow you on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and I see all of these amazing things that you're doing in the world of journalism. How did you get your start, and what inspired you to even go into journalism?
So journalism was something that I just sort of like innately knew I wanted to be a part of. I'd always loved writing and I was always very inquisitive. But I'll say that in the beginning I thought, and I've shared this with you before, that I thought I was going to go into entertainment journalism.
Yes.
And that I was gonna like be on E! News and like, you know, give the latest on all the Kardashian drama. And I thought that that would be something that would sustainably fulfill me. And granted, there's a role and a purpose for it, but throughout my own personal spiritual journey, I kind of just realized that I felt a great need to cultivate space for conversation that I felt really mattered. I was in, I believe it was my sophomore year of college, and I was just kind of going through my own just my own journey with self-love. And I felt like I would go on social media and I would see these picture perfect lives, and I felt very alone in what I was going through. And I was like, there's no way that I'm the only girl who struggles with, you know, body image or anxiety or, you know, those kinds of things. And so I just got a camera and I got a microphone and I went around campus and I was like, do you love yourself? What do you do to love yourself? And I made a video out of it. And through that upload alone, so many people started messaging me and saying, I feel so seen by this. I feel like I'm not alone in this. Thank you for putting this out there. And I quickly realized that, you know, no matter what the size of my platform is, what it is now, what it'll eventually be, it's important that I use my voice and my journalistic sort of integrity to make sure that I'm having the conversations that I know are going to drive us towards a place where we can just understand and see the humanity in each other a bit. You know, I think with social media being such a vital part of our lives right now, it's really showcasing highlight reels that oftentimes aren't really real. So it's important that we really step into a place where we can, I don't know, just see the humanity in each other a bit. So yeah, that's kind of my drive.
I love that. Is there someone in particular in your life that inspired you to really explore this journey even more? I know as women, a lot of times we'll align ourselves with someone, whether they're in our family or someone that may have served in a mentor capacity, or even, I mean, let's face it, sometimes, I mean, as you can see in the wake of COVID and everything else, we're inundated with everything that's on television. Is there somebody that inspires you, that gives you that drive that you want to make this difference and make your mark through journalism?
I mean, oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, what's incredible is that throughout my journey of really standing in my power and standing in my voice, so many women like you and like so many people my age and just in all calibers and all different walks of life have found their way into my life and have inspired me. But as far as like who kind of gave me that initial drive, oh my gosh, I would say equally Oprah and Alicia Keys, which is funny because I feel like I'm really channeling like Alicia Keys energy today. But
you are. I feel it. I feel all the good vibes.
Thank you. Oprah, just because I mean, A, she's an Aquarius, and B, I feel like she's someone who is such a prime example of what it's like to believe in yourself before anyone else does, and invest in yourself before anyone else does, and stand in your voice and stand in your authenticity and have that be your superpower. And she uses her platform and she uses the audience that she's cultivated to spread so much knowledge and to spread so much consciousness. I mean, her Soulful Sundays is like, it feeds me, nourishes me. And so she's really pushed me. And Alicia Keys, just because I've always seen myself in her, and she, there's a peace that radiates from her that I think all women really need to allow ourselves to tap into, because I think oftentimes we measure our value by certain accolades or by certain goals checked off our checklist, or, you know, by certain moments where we feel like we made it. And, you know, then you see somebody like Alicia Keys. Well, granted, she's incredibly accomplished, but I think so much of her power just comes from her sheer presence and just comes from her sheer authenticity. And that's really encouraged me to know that I think I'm making a difference in the divine scheme of things just by standing in who I am. So yeah, those are two women who've inspired me. And of course my mom, because she's incredible. And
she made you. Hello.
And she made me. But yeah, my mother is absolutely incredible. So all of those women.
I love to hear that because, you know, my mom she's no longer here. She passed away in 2015, but she
Mm,
left so much with me. And it's
mm,
like, there's not a day that goes by that I don't speak on her. There's not
absolutely.
a day that goes by that there's not things that remind me of her.
Absolutely.
And I love that because it just, you know, when I think about my own mortality and it's just like,
Right.
will I resonate to my own children? You know, once I'm no longer here, will there be those reminders or those pieces of me that I've left within them internally, as well
Right.
as, you know, obviously around their home? I'm like, I want to be cremated, so they have to carry me around everywhere. So I'm just saying. But I
Oh my
say
God.
that because it's important for us to know, you know, that we have a legacy to leave. And just hearing you say that and you're tapping into these amazing, powerful women and the their power that they have out here. I mean, I think about when I was a young woman, a young lady coming up in high school, and Oprah, I would rush home from school to hop online, not online, sorry, I digress, to watch TV so that I could watch her, you know, and watch the show. And at the time, our family was in a bit of turmoil. My dad was having some problems with addiction, and you know, our family was just, it was that time period, you know, where that was at the height of, you know, things that were going on in the world. And so I remember I wrote her specifically 2 letters and basically just saying, hey, I'm this little girl from East Oakland, and I get inspired by you and the shows that you're doing, but if there's any way that you can give me some sort of words of advice on how to handle my home life. And believe it or not, I got a letter written back to me on Oprah stationery. Now, whether it was from her or not, or somebody on her team, I don't
It
know.
don't matter, baby. It's
It
an
didn't
artist.
matter because, and I took that letter to school. Now, I had all my family's business, you know, in it, but it's just like, that was important to me because it was important that I was able to have this connection with this powerful woman that came from, you know, a pretty hard and harsh background, that a lot of the things that she had to endure. So, you
Yeah.
know, when it's kind of like when you read a book and you see pieces of yourself in the characters, or you watch a movie, it's the same thing, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so, oh, well, I have so much to say. First of all, going back to your mother, I think it's so beautiful how alive you keep her. And I think that that is how people live on, is through the word of mouth, and by keeping their energy so fresh. And also, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like throughout time, as we evolve, we kind of see ourselves evolve into our mothers.
Oh,
And
for
I think,
sure. Oh,
oh
it's
my,
gonna happen.
no, it's already happening. Every
Yes.
day I wake up and I'm like, I am literally Monica. And like, what is so beautiful about it is that I think that's also how you keep them alive, is through
Mm-hmm.
sort of pouring out the beauty that they poured into you, into, you know, your own children, or the things that you create, and like the way that you see life when you carry out the things that your mother taught you. Yeah, it just kind of keeps them alive. So that's so beautiful. And I mean, first of all, I live for the Oprah stationery. Can we talk about that? That's everything. And just like, and yeah, and that's honestly a beautiful example of like just sort of just doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not being stopped by the fear of like, is this a waste of time? But just doing it and having
just
something so
doing it.
beautiful. And I think that um there's such a great role that is served when you stand as a mirror for somebody else, which
Mm,
I think is what Oprah did for us. And I think,
absolutely.
you know, you never know whose eyes are on you. And I think in us doing what we felt called to do, and in us owning our voice and owning our power and owning our worth, we are serving as a mirror, you know, in our vulnerability, in our flaws, in being,
Yes.
you know, open and honest about this whole entire life experience.
Mm.
We're serving as a mirror for the eyes that we don't know are on us as well. So we are our own little Oprahs, I will say.
I love that. Indeed. I have to ask you because I've watched several of your videos that you posted on Instagram, and I mean, you talk to a myriad of different people. But one of the things that resonated to me the most is, it was a video and it was just you by yourself, and it was kind of like you're sitting probably where you're sitting at right now, and
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
I was not feeling my eyeliner today. And you were just, it was like you were just being you. Like you were having this conversation, obviously, and it was, I mean, you're the only one in the room, but then there was this vulnerability that you had, but then it was also this connectivity that I immediately had to you because and I had already talked to you earlier. I told you I had like cyber stalked you and had to look at all your stuff, but I was just like, I love this because even in that moment of insecurity you were having about maybe hair, makeup, and clothes, or however you were feeling about your body that day, there was this connectivity that I had because I was just like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. And I was just like, am I squeezing into Spanx today? Or am I just going to be me and be comfortable in my own skin and be comfortable in my space and know that all of those great things that I have within me, people are still going to see whether I have Spanx on or not. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I
100%.
love that. And I was looking at the comments and, obviously we live in a world of likes, but I mean, without a doubt, you're liked and loved, but I love the feedback and just with the comments that people were saying were like, thank you for saying that. Thank you. Because it allows someone else to know that it's okay to have that vulnerability and it's okay to be unsure and uncertain of how you feel about yourself that day,
We have to give each other permission. I think when we hold ourselves to like these facades of unsustainable perfection, we're holding everybody else to it too. And it's like, if we just give ourselves a little room to breathe, everyone else can breathe, and then there won't be this like force on us of showcasing this perfect versions of ourselves. And the truth is that there's never going to be a world where we wake up and we are exactly what society expects us to be, because what society expects of us is just unrealistic. It's inevitable that we're going to have dips in our own self-worth, because that's just a human experience. And so it's not a matter of reaching a space where you cultivate the perfect body and the perfect like emotion and keep it forever, but it's rather how you choose to perceive your flaws.
Absolutely.
And how you choose to perceive those moments where you don't feel the best about yourself. And when I embraced them and when I started to I think start sharing them and start voicing them instead of harboring them, I think I gained my power back. I think I said,
say that again. No,
I
mean, it's really important because it's in that moment where you're just like, you know what? I am okay. I'm okay. This may not be what I consider the best version of myself today, but that does not change who I am here.
Exactly. And that's all that, it genuinely is all that matters. And when you speak on these things that, sometimes we meet with anxiety and we harbor it and we stifle it and we pretend like we're fine, even though we hate, something about ourselves that day. When you speak on it and say, hey, you know what, today I didn't have the energy to put on makeup and I'm feeling a little bit this about this. My weight fluctuates because I'm a human being and I feel a little bit, when you speak on them and when you share them, and then when you see other people connect with it, it just, it changes the experience completely. It really makes you realize that like it is through your flaws that your beauty is born genuinely. I think just like through our wounds, our strength is born, right? We need the yin and yang. We need the duality of feeling lower and feeling higher. It's just, it's you know what I mean? If you're always feeling completely confident and feeling completely joyous, I feel like we wouldn't be able to appreciate it. So
exactly.
It's a matter of perspective, for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. Let me ask you this. When you decided to go in the way of your journalistic journey and you started off with saying that you thought it was going to be about, talking about the Kardashians and whatnot, which I have to tell you is totally entertaining because when I need to kind of decompress, I like mindless TV. I like to hear celebrity news and gossip and everything, a good key, if you will. Yeah, everything is there for that. But what is inspiring you to take this other direction, in the sense that is it someone that you came in contact with that just made you feel like, you know what, instead of going this route, I need to go this route because there's a need here? Or how was that born, if you will?
I think, I mean, it definitely was a product of so many different things. I think, like I said, as I dived more into my spiritual journey and I started reading, books by Louise Hay and Eckhart Tolle, and I saw the, just the purpose and what it means to be a conscious human being, but also, um, as I continued on my path of being an entertainment journalist, they were all these pushes for me to, move to LA, and, this is what auditions you're going to kind of have to go on. And this is what other entertainment journalists look like. And I kind of already started to feel drained by just what that side of the media world, what it's like behind the scenes. Because many people don't really know, but there's a lot of density when it comes to you know what I mean? Yeah, like what you look like physically and the competitive nature of it. And I'm not a competitive person. And so I didn't, and, I got a lot of jobs in entertainment in that world and interviewing, different musicians and stuff, but it felt so much like the conversations were empty. They were very, just about self-promotion. Kind of it's very surface level. And, for me, I meet somebody and within the first 5 seconds, I want to be like, what are you struggling with the most? And how I'm so eager to see the humanity in people. So it felt very much like I was holding myself back. And I think as I understood more of who I was and what I wanted, I realized that just didn't really energetically resonate. And I always say that to say that there's a huge purpose in it, girl, right after this, I'm going to go watch The Housewives of Potomac. I have it recorded.
Same.
Yeah, it all serves a purpose. And I think, we often, this is a bit of, I'm digressing a little bit, but I think it's worth it to say that we all talk about how we, there's a great purpose in serving the collective and whatever it is that you do. But a lot of people think that healers just look like, what you would automatically think of when you think of a healer, like a Reiki master or a doctor or this or that. But the truth is that I think as long as we are doing what it is we're called to do, we are healing in some way. If there is a woman on this planet who really feels called to give entertainment journalism, Zuri Hall, Erin Lim, and Juliana Rancic, that's honestly, they're helping heal the collective by serving us, this outlet where we can shut off a bit, right? Because over healing and overworking and all of that, that doesn't serve us either. If you're a real estate agent, you're selling people homes, you're selling people dreams, there's divinity and purpose in every path that you take. And so for me, once I realized what my path was, it just made sense to follow it.
A purposeful path.
I like that. A purposeful path. Totally. Intention.
Absolutely. My goodness. Well, let me ask, I know that you have been just completely unparalleled when it comes to taking this path, this journalistic path, but outside of journalism, what other things inspire you in the way that you draw from and it shows up on the screen or on IGTV or YouTube? And I need to know how you got this huge YouTube following. Help me here.
Definitely still growing on YouTube, honestly. It's honestly, I'm still navigating the analytics of it all to the point where sometimes it burns me out to figure out what
does this all mean?
Oh my, yes. And sometimes I'm just I want to just do what it is that I feel called to do, and hopefully, everything will follow suit. And truthfully, you can adopt that, but the world of growth and strategy it's lost on me as well. Trust me. But what other things am I interested in? Well, I mean, I'm also a spiritual counselor. So I love just helping people navigate finding themselves and seeing the humanity in themselves. And, when you take on counseling, it's not a matter of here's your advice, take it. It's a matter of helping people navigate how to find the answers within themselves. Because truthfully, we are all our own best counselors. We all know the answers for all of our own issues. It's just a matter of
having that aha moment.
Yes, exactly. And trusting our intuition, I would say. Yeah. So that's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I am working on a color healing line that I'm going to be releasing soon. because I'm really into color therapy. I think it's directly tied with like inner child healing, incorporating color into your life, and really standing boldly in that. I host conversation parties with eclectic conversations.
Okay.
Which, if you don't know what a conversation party is, it's basically like a regular party, but instead there's questions, and we really dive deeper into what our thoughts are on different topics. But all this is a lot of conscious stuff. So on my human level, I love to dance. I've been dancing all my life, doing belly dancing. It's very healing.
Okay.
I'm very into nature, into exploration, into travel. So I cannot wait so I can travel again. But
Can we say that again? Like that has been it's been a huge part. I mean, it's a part of my job, but it's also part of things that it's my way of kind of escaping and discovering new things. And COVID has really put its stiletto heel in us and said, no, not today.
Wearing stilettos. Thank you for drawing that for me, because it is like walking all over our lives.
It's just like, what's happening here, you know?
Totally.
How has that been? Speaking of that, like with COVID happening,
right?
How has that affected you in your journalism? I mean, obviously, just like what we're doing, I know that there's other channels, but has it kind of put a damper on some of the stories or people that you can connect with as a result?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a single person on this earth who hasn't been affected to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I would say on a career level, of course, I've had to pivot in ways that I didn't expect, but I think it's brought a lot of beauty in being able to make connections that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to make. Usually I do my interviews in person with people that I can, see in a studio.
Right.
So having to, do them through Zoom has been different, but it's also allowed me to do interviews with people that I would have never otherwise been able to interview, and even connect with people like you. So this has been incredible and just like divinely orchestrated, I would say. And obviously, like, our conversation parties aren't able to be in person anymore, but we've been able to do them online, and that's been incredible. And I've just, and in the period of solitude, I've been able to kind of hear my own voice and find myself and figure out what it was that I really wanted to do. Which I really invite anyone who, is still obeying the laws of quarantine to really take this job.
Sure. Yeah.
To take this time to really ask themselves their why and what it is that they want to spend their life doing.
We had this conversation.
It's so
I had literally it just happened again. You can't see I have goosebumps, but you were like finding my why. And I had several conversations after we talked that day. And even in one of my other podcast episodes, and we talked about that. And it's just like, that was such an aha for me when we had that conversation. I'm just like, oh, you hit the nail on the head. But it's true. And I mean, in the midst of finding my why in this kind of timeout, if you will, that COVID has put us all on, I launched my podcast out of my All About the Experiences brand. And it's just like, let me stop sitting on these things. Let's move. Let's see what can come of all of this. And look at the amazing people that I'm meeting, including yourself.
Same.
And again, pouring into me. And it means the world. I mean, it has.
Same.
Yeah. You know how we are. We're like,
I mean, do we need words? We don't need words. Finding your why is something that is so I wish I could remember the woman that I heard it from first, but it's been something that you need to remind yourself quite frequently, because in this industry, and rather any industry, it's very easy to burn out. It's very easy to get lost in the numbers and what society is telling you that you should measure yourself by, whether that's followers or financial success. And so it's really important for us, when we get overwhelmed by those things, to kind of sit back and be like, why am I doing this? Why is this what my soul is called to do? And then to follow that up, what does success look like to me? Like, what is my definition of success? What fulfills me? What fills my cup? Because I think when you reconnect with that, that's when you're in alignment, and that's when the synchronicities and the ideas start flowing and the abundance follows you, because it's kind of like you're in your purpose, you're in your path when you're following your why. So yeah. Everyone should ask themselves that, especially during this time period, because
there's no excuses, honestly, because we have the time. We have the time, and it's not like you can go and do some other stuff because we're quarantining. You know, I caught one of your interviews, and I think it was with, and I wrote her name down, Diane Foster.
Yes.
And I took away 3 things from that conversation that I listened to. And one that resonated was self-love. And that is so very important. And I say this every day, and I'll say it before, you know, we sign off today. It's so important that, yes, we check on each other, but it's really important that we make sure that we're okay. The other thing is that there's something that you get when you uplift others. You can be the most cantankerous person on earth, but there's something to be said, like if you've done something, said something, or was able to infiltrate someone's life in some way and it made a positive impact, I don't care how grouchy you are, it's going to make you feel good inside. Even if you don't want it to be, that's going to be, you know, what happens. And then the other thing I took from that conversation you all had was about celebrating your uniqueness. And I think so often when I can remember coming up and we saw somebody that either looked different, they opened up their lunch and it smelled different. Not that it had to necessarily stink, but you're like, well, what is that? But instead of trying to figure that out, well, nowadays you can't really do it because everybody's allergic to everything. But instead of being like hypocritical or being like, ew, you know, celebrating that uniqueness and like, tell me about your culture. Tell me about why you do this. Tell me about why, you know, your hair is this way, or you decide to, you know, rock your style is that way. Celebrating those unique things that make us different. Yeah. It's like, it's important. And I think when you all were talking and she said that, I was just like, yes. Celebrate that instead of tearing down someone because they are different or you perceive it as different. Maybe you're the different one, you know?
Yes, 100%. Oh my God, I love that. Well, first of all, thank you so much for even taking the time to listen. Diane Foster is an incredible woman, the head of her like woman-led production company, which I'm all for female empowerment. So I was so excited for her. And I took so much from that conversation as well, because I believe her quote was that just our uniqueness is our superpower. And I think that is so true. I think that we are sort of forced into thinking that we are in constant competition with one another, when truthfully there is room for all of us, because nobody can do what it is that you do. No one can say the words that you say. No one can do it with your infliction, with your magic, because your magic is yours. And so when we love ourselves and we stand boldly and firmly in who we are, uplifting the people around us just comes naturally, because, you know, you want to see people win. That's how you win. You know what I mean? We can all pour into each other. We all have something to offer each other. It's a matter of extending the hand, which I think is something you told me before, was that, you know, when you're climbing up, you want to make sure that you turn around and you're bringing
lift as you climb. And I got that from Dr. Pamela Hardy Shepherd. She has been my mentor, and that's something that has always, she shared with me, and it resonates in my own life. And then even going back to what you were saying is just like, there's enough out here for everybody. And my thing is, I'm not your competition. I am proof that it can be done, and vice versa.
Yes. The first time you said that, I like my whole world just like, because yes, 100% we give each other permission when we stand boldly in our power, because that's, you know, someone who's watching you saying, well, if she can do it, and if she's doing it well, so can I. You know what I mean? There's room for all of us. And when it comes to self-love, it's something that we need to prioritize, you know, because we can't pour out of an empty cup, and we can't, you know what I mean? We need to check in with ourselves before we spend the time taking care of or checking in on anybody else. It's really, you know, I think women are so caring and nurturing in nature, and it comes natural.
It's inherent in us. It is. You don't have to be a mom to want to embrace and nurture someone. You know, as women, God gave us all of this stuff that we have. We come with tools, honey. Whatever those tools are, we come with tools. And I say that because one of the things that I learned, and it was during, how can I put this? It's a volunteer program that's at a local hospital here, and it's about being present with people who are in their dying hours. It's called the 11th Hour Program. And it's run by clergy, believe it or not. And one of the things that they always say is that in those moments, you need to have a strong back and be firm in making sure that your presence is felt, but also have a soft front, so that that person can come into you and you can give of yourself. And it creates what we started off, I think, even before we started recording, was having a safe space.
Yes. Yes, and being that safe space, 100%. Absolutely. That's such a beautiful way to put it too, having that soft front. 100%. And, you know, like for me, when I started doing my counseling sessions, you know, that was definitely a dynamic that I had to take on. And then I quickly realized, you know, I was doing like 3 a day, but I was ending my day like a wet noodle, like
you're drained, right?
Completely drained. And mind you, 3 a day doesn't even sound like a lot, but when you're spending, you know, 2 hours really, you know, diving into emotions with somebody, it can take a lot of you. And so self-care and self-love for me looked like knowing that I could only do 1 a day, because I wasn't going to be able to be the best version of myself in those extra 2 sessions if I didn't prioritize checking in with myself and knowing when my battery was empty and giving myself a charge. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And you know, that's another, and I might be generalizing when I say this, but as women, we tend to go. And even when we have triggers that are saying, hey, you need to slow down, we have an excuse of why that is. Because I know I've done that as a mom, as a wife, as a sister. You know, you tap into those things, but when you have the ability to say, hey, I got to take care of me, because if I don't take care of me, then how can I be the best version of myself for others? So
100%. And your body will always let you know. Your body will always let you know. It's just a matter of how you respond to it. You know, I think especially, you know, being women who are kind of doing our own things, it's easy to let your work bleed into your weekend and bleed into the time that's supposed to be kept sacred.
Yes.
And I've caught myself so many times, you know, on a whole entire Saturday when I'm supposed to be, you know, present with my family or, you know, out on a walk, you know, taking care of the extra things I didn't have time to take care of. And like, it's really important that you separate time for you and that you don't see it as like, it's not a matter of like, you know, 80% work and 20% play, but it's really a matter of like prioritizing your play and seeing value in your rest. Rest is productive, you know. Don't think that you are wasting time by sitting down. It's, you know, you need it.
You absolutely need it. Well, what are those things that you enjoy? Like you were saying, when you have that downtime, I heard you mention about being with family or taking a walk, but what other things do you do to kind of re-energize yourself?
Oof. Oh my God. I love this conversation. So I love the beach, and I love that the beach hasn't been taken from me during this pandemic. You cannot take the beach from me. I've gone in my blanket, like in the corner where nobody else is, and I've been able to just like ground myself, and that is something that I love to do. I'm an only child, and so being with my mom is like my jam, whether we're just like go to Target or we watch like $1 Million Listing on Bravo, and it's just like the most like it's any time where I'm able to just be present and like honor my joy by not letting myself be distracted by anything else. I think our culture is very driven to like thinking about what's next instead of like enjoying what's happening right now. So just really like the little things in life, the little like what feels in the in between, the mundane is what I love the most. Like looking in the cabinet for like dark chocolate after I eat. You know, like just little things like that is what I enjoy doing. And dancing, like I said, I love to dance for
I
sure.
love that.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. I when you said that, it triggered a memory for me. I can remember growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of money, and my
Right.
mom was a single parent. She was going to nursing school. She was working 2 and 3 jobs, like literally just maintaining for us. But I love that she inspired us, because I'd be like, well, why can't we have, like, you know, cable, or why can't we do this? Or I remember when we finally got a VCR, everybody was already going on to DVD. So I was just like, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was like that. But she was just like, well, why can't you think of doing stuff yourself? Like she goes, that's mindless TV. Like, what can you do? And so she would inspire us. And so my sister and I would listen. It's so funny because one thing about her, we listen to all their music, which is funny because all of the, even most recently, I'm just going to throw this out here, Cardi B and Meg the Stallion, Hoes in This House. I mean, that's old school house music. I'm just like, I was like, wait, what? I'm like, you guys have,
it all comes back. Totally.
they're remaking everything. So like my mom, we would listen to the same music that she grew up listening to, but we would put our own kind of like little hip hop spin on it. Yeah. And I love that she allowed us that space. She allowed us that space with how we dress, how I did my hair. Like I switch my hair all the time.
Right.
I was the first girl, I think, in my class back in the day. I wasn't dyed, but you know, when you did the cellophane rinse and I had the burgundy hair and then I went with the black blue, and they were like, your mom let you do that? My mom was just like, it's hair. So what? That's her. And I was just like, so I embraced that. That. And, you know, I also realized that there's a part of me, even with all of that going on, that, you know, I work in a corporate environment most days, and I have to kind of tone it down, but I still bring my spice. You know?
You have to incorporate play and incorporate that child healing however you can in whatever environment you're in. So if it's however you express yourself, but I mean, truthfully, I think what a blessing in disguise for your mother to encourage you guys to find your imagination as your form of entertainment, because truthfully, I think that there is a lot of value in that. I mean, I get it. Like every kid's going to want cable and going to want to, like, you know, do what all their friends are doing. But truthfully, a lot of it is mindless distraction, which sometimes is necessary, but sometimes it's nice to kind of like shut that off and just be present and with the people that are around you and with the activities that you want to do. I think it really will help you blossom internally. Like, look where you are now. You know what I mean? That served you, I would say.
I feel that way, you know, and I think sometimes when you're going through it at the time, it's hard to see that. As an adult now, and I have my own family and children, I get it. But it was like funny. I remember watching the Cosby Show, and you remember how they used to enact the songs and everything. And I was just like, that's so cool. Like, you know, and we would live through that and do our own version of that in our home. But it's just, you have to appreciate, I think it goes back to what you were saying, like you and your mom just sitting there on the couch and watching TV. And I'll tell you, my mom is no longer here, but those moments are the moments that when I miss her the most, I'm sitting here, like there's a commercial that came on the other day. She used to crack up on commercials, and we were like, okay, it was funny, but it wasn't that funny, but it was kind of her thing, right? And it was like a commercial that came on, I think it's a T-Mobile commercial, but it was hilarious. And I thought, I sat there and I got sad because I was just like, she would love this right now and be cracking up about it. And you know, and so cherish all of these moments. And I love that you hold those moments sacred, because that's so important. It's so important.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, truthfully, because I think that there's so much power in just being present in those moments that are fleeting, but you don't realize hold so much value. And truthfully, you can make anything sacred just by intention. You know what I mean? If you intend on making this thing sacred. Like, I make my Sunday sacred, and not because it's necessarily a religious thing, but like Sundays are my day where I don't want to be consumed by social media, where I choose to, you know, not have my phone be the first thing that I look at when I wake up. You know, I keep those days sacred, and in that there's so much more intention throughout my day. And I don't know, I think I think living in the future and even living in the past is such a thief of joy because neither exist. You know, all you really have is the present moment. And so when you're just kind of there and the moments in between, there's so much just tranquility that you can find through it. So like watching commercials with your mom, that is a huge source of joy if you allow it to be, I would say.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna turn my light on, but
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
you're fine. You're
I
fine.
was like,
Look,
it's so
your
darkening.
glow up is epic anyway. Like I have
Thank
to
you.
say this. So when you gave me, I love that. Like again, going back to how we pour into each other. I
Yes.
was sitting there talking to you, and I'm like, okay, total girly moment, but skin
Yeah.
is gorgeous. What are you using? And immediately you text me, and I'm just like, I love this. But that's that giving back to each other. You're like, my skin just can't glow. I want yours to glow too. I love it.
Yes, honestly, and that's how all women should be. It's not even, I mean, it's so sweet of you to even like bring that up. Thank you. But truthfully, I feel like that's what the standard should be, right? I think we should want to put each other on and support each other. I think there's so, like we said, there's so much room for all of us to glow. I think um someone else's light shining does not dim yours, and I
Nope.
think we assume that, you know what I mean, we assume that, and we, because we're used to dimming our own lights to fit into spaces that like we were just too big for to begin with, you know what I mean? So it's just a matter of
That.
like
You know,
going
it's
back.
so funny. I'm sitting on a couple of panels, and you know, they ask you, you know, you have your standard bio or what have you may have for different things, especially for me in the corporate and event side. But then this is something more personal, and it's about women's empowerment. And it's like it's hard because it's almost like you're taking this mirror, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you have to say these things that you know that are within you. But it's like, why is it so hard to say great things about yourself when you know that they're in there? You know what I
Oh
mean?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it takes so much more work, which is so I mean, I think it's something that you're just gonna always have to like work on
For
standing in.
sure. For
Um,
sure.
and it's something that like even me, so I'm a part of a trio called Eclectic Conversations, and we're the ones who host conversation parties, and we don't just do them standalone, we do them like in schools and in different, you know, corporate environments. But it's two men and it's me. So sometimes I am just a bit intimidated with holding my own voice, which is it's different than what we're saying right now
For
as
sure.
terms of, you know, uplifting your own self. But I say that to say that in both instances it's a matter of knowing that you are enough and believing in that, not just, you know, sort of saying it fleetingly or on a surface level, but really believing in your worth and
Mm-hmm.
believing that you are deserving of what it is that you've worked so hard for. And oftentimes I'm met with this, I don't know if you're familiar with like imposter syndrome, because it's something that I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, I'm learning about right now because I found that I struggle with it. And it's along the lines of, you know, being exactly where you deserve to be, but still questioning if you're deserving of being there.
Right.
Just because I think there's like these innate insecurities, and we question ourselves often. But truthfully, you know, there's nothing boisterous or braggadocious about owning your light and owning your power and saying, this is
Say
who I
that
am.
again. Yes.
Yes,
There's
and it's not an ego thing. It's truthfully, it's just it's speaking on your worth and knowing that it's the truth. So
Wait, I think I shared this with you before in our conversations. There's times that, I mean, even as far along as I am in my career, there's still moments where I'm just like, ooh, can I do this?
yes,
Do I have this?
oh
And
my
it
God.
was like I'm walking into this room with people who may be naysayers or people who just assume that, oh, Cheryl's here, she's got that. And I
Yeah.
don't know, but I walk in there and it's kind of like that. And I hate to say it like this because I don't like the F word, but fake it till you make it. But you do. You have to put that on and wear it and make it your own. And
Mm.
it's okay to do that. It's okay to find out how you can make something fit. Just because it was made, like I always say this, you buy a piece of clothing and you see it how it's on the mannequin or how it's being modeled, doesn't mean that that's going to look that way or hang that way on me. But guess what? I'm going to fashion it to make myself look the best way that I can and rock the
Yeah.
runway. And so it's kind of the
Ooh!
same thing.
A word, honey. Absolutely. And you know, this is something that I struggle with, and I know so many people around me struggle with, is like this notion of like, can I do this? And I know that a lot of my friends have shared that it does have a lot to do with like walking into a room and assuming that people are like, you know, the naysayers. And for me, what more so I've struggled with aside from that is that I find myself comparing myself to other people whose journeys are similar to mine very often. And I compare my numbers, and I compare, you know, maybe certain accolades that they have that I haven't had yet. And truthfully, it all goes back to your why. And when I go back to my why, and when I go back to why does this fulfill me? Why is it that I'm doing this again? Why is it that I know that I'm the person who needs to be doing it? That's when I get back in alignment. But it's something that is just, it's innate in the human experience, and it's innate in a world of social media and having to network and sell and market yourself. It's something that you just have to remind yourself, and surround yourself with people like you that supports you. And not only do you lead me just by doing what you do so well and so seamlessly and effortlessly that you like give me permission to do so, but you also remind me that I am worthy and beautiful and bright, and that
You are.
plays a
You're
role.
all of those things and a whole lot more. Trust me.
Thank you. I feel the same way
Absolutely.
about you, truthfully. I really, really do.
Well, I started off this conversation with telling everybody, like, within 5 minutes, they'll know why you've just quickly become one of my favorite people. I look at you, you're a young woman and you're, you know, paving your path and you're doing it and you're giving yourself permission. You are also making it where there's other women. It doesn't have to be anybody younger than you. I mean, I'm well off into my 40s, and I'm looking at you and I gain so much inspiration from your journey. And like I said, you pour into me, and I just hope that I can do the same of you and then others that are around us. And again, you were saying it's who you surround yourself with. And so I am so appreciative of the fact that you've come onto my platform to share about yourself and just even our interaction that we've had.
Incredible.
And it's been wonderful. I talk about you. I've talked about
I
you.
talk about you. Same. All the time. I'm like, guys, this woman literally, like, at some lifetime was either my sister or my auntie. Like, we were related in some life. I promise you.
I felt that way. I was just like, I told you how it was in my house. I was just like, oh, that's baby girl. Yeah. I just got off the phone. I was just like, yeah, you know, it's there. And I love that.
And feeling safe with a person, which I think
Yes.
is, it speaks so highly to your energy. And truthfully, like I said, you inspire me so much, not just like by what you do, but by who you are. And I think a lot of women need to hear that alone, because like I said, so much of our power doesn't come from what, like, you know, accomplishments we have, but rather if we allow our superpower to be us standing in who we are. And by you standing in who you are and like letting kindness lead, you allow yourself to just be a kind individual, especially in a world that can often harden you. You know what I mean? Working in the environment you work in, and working in male dominated industries, it's easy to be hardened and to be like riddled with competitiveness. And the fact that you are so nurturing is just so inspiring. So thank you for existing, genuinely.
I appreciate that and I receive it. I really do. I know we're winding down, but is there anybody that you would like to give a special accolade to? Or, and I also want you to make mention of how all of my listeners can find you. And I really feel like there's something else to be said here. You need to do a YouTube on how we can get our viewership up as well.
Totally, honestly, whatever you want me for, I will happily be with you. Oh, there's so many people. I love that you gave me space to like uplift somebody else.
Absolutely.
There is a woman by the name of Leora Alexandra. She's a YouTuber, and she also just like, she's on all platforms, but she preaches a lot about the law of attraction, which is incredibly useful for anybody to learn about. But just within her work, she just empowers women to stand in their power. I mean, men and women, and this doesn't have to all be about women.
Right.
I've been on some like feminine stuff lately, like the divine feminine, so I'm really on that. But men and women, she's really she's a source of empowerment and knowing that anything that you want, whatever reality it is that you want to wake up seeing is yours just by speaking on it and believing that it's within your reach and then acting upon that. And she's helped me navigate this world really well. So if anyone, if that resonates with anybody, definitely check her out.
Certainly.
And as far as my personal content is concerned, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Jazmin Kylene, or you can visit LaliLaLuna.tv, where you can find all my digital content, and I'll be posting my merchandise soon. You can book a one-on-one session with me, and all of that good stuff. And truthfully, I just I couldn't be more grateful to have lent my voice to an outlet and a platform that I am such a fan of, and B, I feel so completely safe in. So thank you for this opportunity. Genuinely, thank you.
I can't thank you enough for being here, and again, able to give back to each other. And I'm proud. I know we haven't known each other for that long, but I'm certainly
I've known you
proud
for a
of you.
lifetime.
That's what it feels like, you know.
Yeah,
and I love the love and light that you bring. And again, I mean, I doubt that this would ever happen, but don't allow anybody to dim that, because you're doing amazing things, and I'm watching. I'm here to support. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Well, as I always say before I close out, I do have a little housekeeping I need to do. I wanted to thank last week's guest, and her name is Marin Bright, and she's the founder and CEO of Bright Business and also Smart Meetings. And she has been, she's a proponent of women. Her business is women owned, or woman owned, I should say. And again, much like you, living unapologetically and in that space, but also giving that power and permission for other women to do it. And it's not just all about women, but I think it's really important because our voices are not often heard. And so having my own platform and being able to shed light on these things are really important. And so I'm fortunate because my circle is awesome. I have people like yourself that are in it, and I feel truly blessed by that. But as I close out, I always say, take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself.
Oof.
Yes. So I thank you for being here, and I look forward to continue to watch you flourish.
I look forward to the same thing. I adore you. Thank you.
Thank you.